Hello, and welcome to Starside Chat, episode 36. I am your host, one of your hosts, Aaron, and with me as always is Zach. How's it going, Zach?
Pretty good. Has it been 2 weeks since we recorded?
Yes.
It feels like it's been a long time.
It's been a while. I got a new job last week, and so I was pretty busy and couldn't record.
I don't know if you want to talk about it at all, but I am kind of excited for you because it seems like a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I basically am working as I work at like an IT firm. So it's an IT office, but we contract out to a bunch of different companies in our general area. So it's basically IT work, but on a grand scale. And I'm learning a lot, and I'm getting up early every day, and it's been really fun. But because of that, I could not record last week.
The ultimate goal is to get to where you're basically living out the IT crowd, I think. Maybe
that
not.
We were talking about this before we started recording, and that's like the one thing that is, it's like a good thing and a bad thing, because I'm learning a lot because I'm constantly doing different things. But the reason I'm doing that is because there's never not tickets to be filled out because so many different companies rely on us. So like if I was the IT person, or if I was in like an IT group for one company, there would probably be a little bit more downtime and I could like tackle things at my own pace. But because it's just like a constant flood of people coming in like, well, this laptop from this guy doesn't work. And like, oh, this guy a mile away, his monitor doesn't work. So go check that out. It's just like, it's good. It's like trial by fire, and I'm learning a ton, but it's also
I imagine that being what it would be like if you worked for Geek Squad.
Yeah, I think it's very similar. Yeah, it's basically like working at a Best Buy, but for like companies.
Yeah.
But you have some maybe some stuff going on this week as well, right?
I do. I have a job interview. It's just a phone interview, so it's like maybe a first round. So I'll have to see how it goes.
What do you think about this, Zach? I have heard that it is a good thing to dress up in a suit even for phone interviews.
I mean, I will do that just to see how it works. Actually, what if I do the opposite and I dress down?
Ooh, just like casual flip-flops? What if they don't walk around, though, and if they hear their flip-flops?
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm probably going to be sitting.
I don't know, man. Maybe you should stand. You'll feel more authoritative if you stand.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I haven't really thought about what it's actually going to be like yet, but I mean, it's just a phone interview, so.
I bet there are a million nonsense YouTube videos you could watch about ways to improve your phone interview game.
Oh, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's like a lot about just stepping up your interview game, like the right questions to ask and like how to exude confidence or whatever. There's that Charisma on Command YouTube channel. I don't know if you've ever seen those.
No.
They have all kinds of videos that are like that, like how to be more confident or seem cooler, stuff like that.
Well, should we get into the news?
I suppose we should do that. Starting off there's a free play pack. Is that what it's called? It's for Apex Legends if you are a PS Plus subscriber. So I don't know if you've played any Apex Legends in a while.
It's been a little bit of time. I was very into it for a while, but for whatever reason, I've dropped off recently. I think just like school finals got more intense and I stopped having time to put into it. But if I was going to go back, I think I would go back on PlayStation because I think more elite players are on PS4.
Oh, really? I would have thought the other way around, but
I feel like all the streamers are whoever, like if people still stream Apex Legends, they're all on PC.
Oh, so you're saying less intense players are on PS4?
Yeah, I feel like it's a more casual landscape.
Yeah, which definitely is fitting of me and my abilities as a first-person shooter player. No, yeah, same, like, school got hectic and I just got really sidetracked and didn't come back to Apex Legends. I always wanted to. And like I would definitely log in just to get this stuff. It's like some skins for 2 characters and for a weapon and then like a banner or something like that.
Yeah, Lifeline. So it's Lifeline and Mirage, and Lifeline is definitely my most played character. So I would totally use this.
Yeah, they're pretty cool looking. They're kind of purpley. I can't really tell for sure what the design, like what the pattern is, but it's like got a little bit of a pattern to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, believe it or not, I've actually, instead of playing Apex Legends, I've gone back to playing Overwatch again.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, because they had some sort of event that happened lately.
Yeah,
right?
it's their anniversary event, like literally just started yesterday, where they bring back all the special like seasonal events that they do, and they kind of rotate through them over the course of the week, and you have access to all the special skins that are like all the seasonal skins. So like if you maybe missed out on the winter event, and you're like, man, I'm always too busy to play during that time, so I never have any of the winter skins. Well, you can get them now if you start opening some loot boxes. So,
not to get too far ahead, but we got to start talking about E3.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Apex Legends or Overwatch will come to Switch at E3? What do you think is more likely, actually, I should say?
If I had to guess, I would say it would be more likely that I was going to say Apex Legends, but then didn't something from Blizzard just come out on... Yeah, Diablo 3 came out on Switch.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Maybe Overwatch, actually.
Would you get it on... I mean, would you buy it again on Switch?
Probably not. So the problem is, like, I don't like these kind of games where it's all about opening loot and trying to unlock all the skins and everything, because they don't make it so that your progress carries over to no matter how many different platforms you play on. Like, I guess Fortnite is pretty good about that, right? Maybe?
Yeah, Fortnite, I feel like, and Minecraft are the two, like, giants that are cross-platform in almost every way.
Yeah, so I would love it if games like Destiny and Apex Legends and Overwatch were like that, but they're not right now. So it just feels like kind of a little bit of waste of time to play on more than one, unless you just have like friends who are, some are on this platform and some are on that platform. Maybe it makes sense to like go ahead and play on both platforms and just deal with, you know, get what you get when you can. But like, it almost feels like you're sort of wasting your time. I feel like the skins are maybe not that core to the experience, but at the same time, it is like your reward for continued play.
Yeah.
And like one of the things I like so much about the Overwatch skins and the seasonal events, and why I always come back to them, is it's kind of feels a little bit like tradition at some point, where it's like every Christmas you watch the same movies over and over again, and it's just kind of nice to see like all the Christmas decorations out and stuff like that. And so opening Overwatch again during that time kind of has a similar feel to it. Like I always played during the Halloween event in October for Junkenstein's Revenge, because one, I like the arcade mode that comes with it, but also it's just become kind of a fun tradition. And so I like that kind of thing. So I don't know. I wish they had more of that stuff, but they need to make it so that if I play with you on PS4 and then I switch over because like you're not on and I play on PC for a while, it needs to feel like my time is still being valued.
I feel like that's gotta come. I mean, especially with like this new age we're getting into where everything's going to be streaming from the cloud. I mean, Stadia is something we've talked a lot about.
Yeah, that's the big one.
You just need like profiles that are, what's that term? Platform agnostic.
Oh, well, so here's the thing that I don't think either of us put in our show notes for whatever reason, but didn't Sony and Microsoft come to a deal on Azure?
Oh, are they sharing?
Should probably look this up.
I don't know anything about this. I'm very uninformed. Working 8 to 5, I look at my phone a lot less during the day, which is a detriment to my ability to keep up on things.
Yeah, this is like probably the biggest news story of the last week, and neither of us remembered to put it in our show notes. But
lay it on me. I want to hear.
So Microsoft and Sony are teaming up for the future of gaming. This is according to The Verge. It's basically Xbox and PlayStation trying to beat Amazon and Google, I guess, but they unveiled a surprise partnership where they're collaborating on the future of cloud-based gaming. So it wasn't clear to me what this was going to mean for Sony and Microsoft, but it seems like Microsoft is sharing its like Azure cloud-based tech with Sony.
Do you think this means at Microsoft's press conference at E3, they will say the word Sony at some point?
I mean, maybe. Oh, what about this? Maybe this deal was in the works a long time ago, and so Sony was like, we're not going to be at E3, and everybody was like, what could this mean? What if Microsoft's like, yeah, we're going to have this huge E3 presentation. It's going to be bigger than ever. And then like Sony is just there with them.
Oh my God. That would blow my mind. I would love that. Oh my God. E3 is so good.
Yeah. I mean, I doubt that that's what's going to actually happen because Sony has also gone over to those Nintendo Direct style, like just streaming information dumps or whatever. But
you know what else is crazy about Sony? I did read this week another article being like, hey, Ghost of Tsushima and Death Stranding and Last of Us Part 2 are definitely coming out on PS4. And if Sony says again, isn't that crazy?
It is, but we've already seen like PlayStation 5 specs, so we kind of know what to expect with that. And
why are they targeting PS? Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
That's why I still insist that all of those games are going to be games that are out for both generations. They're going to be those like split generations where you can still get it and play it on PS4, but if you have a PS5, it's going to be there too. And so you're just
that's the thing, though, is like there's all these rumors about PS4 and PS5 being completely compatible. So it's not it's not two discs, it's one disc. It's like pick up Last of Us Part 2, it'll work on either machine.
I'm confused though. How would that work? So say you're on PS4 and this game comes out and instead of it being like, maybe it says on the box PS4/5 and it's here, play Ghost of Tsushima, you can pop it in your PS4 and it'll play at whatever it can do, and then you pop it in your friend's PS5 and then it just looks a lot better.
I would say probably the frame rate would be better on PS5. It would probably also have some sort of like giant patch you would have to download with better textures, I would guess. I mean, and supposedly PS5 is going to have HDR technology, so the lighting will look better. But I mean, you'll probably definitely have to download a large patch. But like,
I mean, you already have to do that. You have to do that already for a lot of things. But so that makes sense. It would just you'd be downloading like the high res textures or whatever.
Yeah, and they don't have to do that with every game. I mean, there might be some like procedural stuff going on where it just knows like, oh, this is a PS5, this is Last of Us Part 2, the frame rate is capped at 60 instead of 30, and the resolution is 4K instead of 1080 or whatever.
I mean, if that was the case, wouldn't they just drop the number?
What do you mean?
Well, like, maybe your console says PS4 or PS5 on it, but the games themselves, like the box disc, like that says just PlayStation on it.
Yeah, I could definitely, it just has like the PlayStation logo. That's what, I mean, because everyone wants to know what the new Xbox is going to be called. And I remember I think it was the Game Informer podcast saying they were just going to call it, or they were speculating they were just going to start calling it Xbox. And it's more of like a service than a console.
Yeah, which I think people were speculating about that before they announced that it was going to be called Xbox One this last generation. And then they still called it One, which was very confusing. But
yes, very bad rollout for that console.
It was very bad. But no, yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm still curious to find out exactly what it means for as far as Sony and Microsoft teaming up on like cloud-based stuff. Because like PlayStation has, or Sony has that PlayStation Now streaming service that's not been very good.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how they compete with Google, I guess. That's the big question.
I mean, it's all about the games, I guess. I mean.
Yeah, true. Well, maybe they're just like, Sony wasn't really making a lot of strides in terms of like their cloud service stuff. And so they saw what Microsoft had going and they're like, look, we are like the mainstays of the gaming industry and Google's going to come in here and blow us out of the water unless we like start working on this together.
That could be.
I mean, part of me also sees that Microsoft is like getting Xbox Live running on a Switch and they like want to team up with Nintendo. Maybe Microsoft's just getting to the point where they're like, let's all work together. Let's all be friends. And they finally got Sony on board. But
the toughest sell, Sony, who like historically does not play well with others.
yeah.
But speaking of playing with others, Zach, I have played 0 hours of Red Dead Redemption 2 online.
Well, I can't say I blame you. We did put out a video of our impressions of Red Dead 2 online while it was still in beta, but I believe this story is that it is officially out of beta now. And so they've dropped the beta tag, and it came with some huge updates. So there's new story missions, activities. Yeah, I don't know if I see myself jumping back into this, but I will say maybe we should check it out just to see how things have changed and maybe do a video to see if it's actually worth jumping back into. If I recall, according to the GameSpot article that I'll have in our show notes, you can now play as like offensive or defensive as your play style. So basically it makes it so that you can either freely attack other players or be attacked by other players, or you can choose to be defensive. So you can kind of avoid some of those PvP skirmishes as you're just running around out in the open world, which is one of the big complaints that a lot of people had, myself included, about the beta, was that you might just be trying to run around and do some hunting or do something else, and people just kind of, if they saw you, they were going to come shoot you for no reason. And so every free roam session just sort of turned into this nonstop impromptu free-for-all, and that was not fun for a lot of people, and it got really old really fast, and so people had to like swap servers in order to try to avoid those people. So
that sounds like one of the big issues with Sea of Thieves as well, right? You were just like constant griefing.
Well, and to a degree, that's like part of the thing. That's like what the game is, especially in Sea of Thieves' case, and to an extent with Red Dead Online. It's a little bit different. So like with Red Dead Online, there are missions that you can do, or sort of side missions that you can pick up. And like I showed in our video that we have on our channel, they can be pretty boring unless some other player comes to attack you. But if some player comes over to attack you, most of the time, in my experience, in my limited time playing, they were just going to kill me and steal my mission and complete it for me, and it was going to be awful. So you had two options. One, it was going to be super boring where nothing would happen. You would just go, it was basically fetch quests where you would deliver something, or you would sit on a guy with a carriage and sort of play defense for him as he drove to his destination or whatever. Mm-hmm. And those were super boring. But the way that it got more spicy and interesting was to have other human players come along and attack you while you're trying to complete them. And of course, that just meant I was going to fail the mission. So like neither of those were fun to me, which is why I don't particularly want to jump back into this. But a Sea of Thieves was kind of the same thing. You go try to find treasure, and while you're returning it, it's supposed to be like old pirate times where like people could happen upon you and destroy your ship and steal your loot. And that's what the whole experience is. So like I understand why that sort of has to be part of the experience, but I wish there was another, like they just fundamentally gone about it a different way with Red Dead Online. So and I think for people that do just want to hunt or do other activities in the free roam, just having that sort of offensive or defensive play styles is really going to help things out. So I'm curious to see if maybe things start picking up for them once people get a chance to play some of this, just because it seemed like it was not doing well for Rockstar there for a while.
No,
so.
I heard no one talking about it. But
yeah.
We talked a lot about Sea of Thieves. What if I wanted to play a more Ubisoft style of Sea of Thieves?
Well, I got news for you. It's not going to be at E3 this year, and it got pushed back yet again, apparently.
What's going on with this game?
I don't know. And there's supposed to be, didn't you say there was a TV series that was happening alongside of this?
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I mean, what is going on with this?
I don't know.
So they delayed the game again, and it's not coming out until sometime early 2020, I believe. It was supposed to come out, I believe, this fall. Originally, it was supposed to come out last year. So it's been pushed back a couple of times. This just seems like it's falling in line with a lot of other similar online games that maybe the development cycle's a little troubled and they have to push it back a bunch of times. It's concerning for people who were previously excited about this game. But they're going to have a TV show, so I don't know how that factors into things. Maybe they're more inclined to stick with the game and try to fix it if need be after it launches, just because they have so much invested in it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would watch someone play this, but again, I hate ship combat. I feel like I've talked about this. So I'm not super on board for pirate games. I also feel like maybe the general public, I don't want to, the ship has sailed is the only way to say this.
Nice.
But I feel like we're not talking about pirates anymore. Maybe this like premiere show will get us more into it, but I don't know.
Pirates aren't particularly part of pop culture right now. Like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies kind of maybe outstayed their welcome a little bit too much, and it seemed like maybe a good time to lay low on the whole pirate thing. But then again, Sea of Thieves, I think, did all right. So I don't know. It came out in not a great state, and then it got it picked up by a lot of streamers playing it after an update for a little while. I think it's since gone back down again. Yeah. But
that being said, I am very much looking forward to whatever Ubisoft does have at their E3 conference.
Yeah, apparently not this, but they're gonna show off other stuff, I'm sure.
Let's talk about E3.
Yeah, let's do it. So I don't know if you want me to run down some of the games that are going to be shown, because GameSpot does have a list of all the games that they're aware of so far that are going to be at E3. What on this list are you most excited for?
Here's what we should do. You tell me the name of something, and I will give you a one word about what I think about it, and then we can either expand on that or just keep going.
Okay. I'll run down the list, and you can say. So, Anthem.
Why?
Apex Legends.
Switch.
Battlefield 5.
Not interested.
Battle Wake.
I don't know what that is. It sounds like ship combat, so I'm not interested.
What? Yeah, it was my one word for that. Here's another one for you. Bee Simulator.
This would be my what? What is that?
Borderlands 3. Mine would be Pass.
Yeah.
Call of Duty 2019.
Battle Royale, ?
Cyberpunk 2077.
Best. Most interested. Must see.
Most anticipated for sure. Doom Eternal.
Also very, very interested.
Dying Light 2.
More like Dying Light snooze.
FIFA 20.
Pass.
Farmers Dynasty.
This is interesting to me because this isn't related to Harvest Moon, is it? That's something else. That's called like seasonal something or whatever. I like a farming game, so I'm interested in this.
Fortnite Summer Block Party.
No.
Halo Infinite.
Destiny ?
John Wick Hex.
What?
Yeah, what? Monster Hunter World Iceborne.
I'm excited for you.
I don't know that I'll play it, but I do think it's cool.
You were so hot on Monster Hunter World.
I would play it if anyone I knew was playing it, but nobody I know is playing it. So it just, I've been away for it for so long. It's kind of like that thing when like the first Division came out. Yeah. And they had that big update and everyone's like, it's finally good. And we're just like, well, that ship has sailed, so whatever. Next game is Overpass.
I don't know what this is, but I'll overwatch for it.
Ooh. Paranoia, Happiness is Mandatory.
I am intrigued. I played the pen and paper version of Paranoia a long time ago, so I don't know what this is, but I assume it's some sort of tactical game.
Interesting. Scavengers.
Unknown.
Unknown, indeed. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Intrigued. Pleasantly surprised by what I've seen. I like a story. I mean, this looks like Uncharted Star Wars, so I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Tavern Keeper.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of it. The Fisherman Fishing Planet.
I'm interested in whatever that is.
You like a fishing game?
I mean, what could it be?
I mean, a whole planet of fishing.
What if it's a really deep RPG?
What if it's the Destiny of fishing games?
Ooh, now you're speaking my language.
The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3?
There's 3 of them?
There's
That's
3. This is the third?
The most generic name. The Legend of Heroes.
That's true. Next game, The Rift Breaker.
Unknown. I have no idea what that is.
The Sinking City.
I am interested in this. If this is what I think it is, I remember seeing demos of this last E3, and I am very intrigued.
This does seem interesting to me. I'm excited to find out more. The Walking Dead Onslaught.
Snooze.
Is that the one that was like the Left 4 Dead game, but it was in the Walking Dead universe?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
I want to watch people play this. They did like a press reveal of this game, like a live stream. And it looks interesting. People kept referencing Breath of the Wild because it's like an open world, do whatever you want type game with survival elements.
Interesting.
But I don't know. I've never played a Tom Clancy game except for like on N64.
I mean, you played Division.
Oh yeah, that was a Tom Clancy game. I forgot about that.
Did you play Rainbow Six at all?
I played the one that was on N64, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I played a bunch of them. Like, I played the N64 Rainbow Six, and I played a bunch of Ghost Recon games on, like, original Xbox, and I played the Advanced Warfighter games with my friends in, like, high school, and I liked those quite a bit. So, I mean, I like a Ghost Recon game. It's just been years since I've played one. I'm curious if this is, like, The Division, but more, like, out in the wild as opposed to, like, post-apocalyptic cityscapes. So
I think it's maybe a spiritual sequel to Wildlands.
Yeah, I think you're right about that, but I didn't play Wildlands, so I'm not sure what the formula is there.
Yeah.
Next game, Trine 4, The Nightmare Prince.
Very interested. I find these games to be very enjoyable to play with other people.
I've never played one before, so
they're good.
I'll keep an eye out for it. WRC8.
Does it stand for Who Really Cares 8?
I think you're right about that.
I don't know what that
They've made
is.
8 games about Who Really Cares. Werewolf, The Apocalypse, Earthblood.
I like all those words. I don't know what that is.
That's true. It is like just weird word mash, word soup. Well, that's all that they had on their list. Was there anything that you didn't see that you were interested in?
We're definitely going to get some, you wrote in the notes, Stadia. I feel like there's definitely going to be some Stadia news. Not a lot of Nintendo stuff on that. I feel like there was something else happening where Nintendo was like, you'll learn more in June, but I don't remember what that was. Maybe some Animal Crossing I would like to see.
Yeah, and maybe some new Pokemon stuff. Maybe, what else? I feel like they had another thing, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember, because I feel like
something else.
I
mean, they'll talk about Fire Emblem, I'm sure. I don't think that was the thing, though. There was something else, but I can't think of what it is now.
Yeah, some company was like, oh, more to come in June, and everyone was like, oh, it's going to be at E3. But I can't think of what it was.
Was that Stadia? I mean, I know that Google said that.
Stadia was definitely one of them, but I feel like there was a specific game. I don't remember, but I do want to know a lot more about Stadia. I want them to release a time frame, and I think that's what I want the most, is a time frame.
Yeah. None of these are Bethesda titles, right? Oh, I guess Doom, but...
Yeah, Doom Eternal.
Are they still doing their own conference?
Yes, they are.
Surely they got to have more than just Doom there.
Yeah, well, they'll have more footage from that new Wolfenstein. That's the two sisters, probably, right?
I keep forgetting about that game, yeah.
I wonder, did we talk about, have they said that Starfield is not going to be at the C3?
I don't recall if they said anything about that or not. I mean, I feel like for sure Elder Scrolls won't be, just because that's too far out.
Yeah.
I feel like Starfield's coming before that, so. Even
if it's completely cinematic or like something very on rails, I would love to see, because we don't know anything about Starfield's universe.
Yeah.
Like, are there aliens? Is it just humans? How many worlds would it be? Like, is your ship an integral part? Are you going to be like customizing a ship? Any kind of information about Starfield, I would love to get my hands on.
I know. I desperately want to find out more about that game and what it's going to be like, but I also feel like it's early enough in the development cycle of that game still that anything they showed us now would just be like concept, like proof of concept stuff. Like, this is what we're hoping to achieve. And so when the game eventually does come out, people will be so mad that like, oh, you didn't do this. Like, this is just like the cycle of showing a game off at E3. Like,
yeah.
And
still, though, I want to see those aspirational videos. I want to see.
I mean, I like them too. I like to see sort of what they're aiming for, but people misread that as like, this is a promise of what the game is going to be. It's like, nah, that's not really how it works, but all right.
Oh, I would like to see more of that Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline sequel. I don't know if we'll get to, but I'm very interested in that. I don't know how far into the development that is, but
yeah.
I'm sure. So ramping up probably next week. How many weeks away is E3? It starts on like the 8th, I think. Yeah. So probably next week we'll make some like speculation E3 videos, maybe even this weekend, that you guys can check out on our channel, on our feed.
I'm down. I would love to talk about what's coming up for E3 and what we're most excited about. So it is. It's getting very close. It's very exciting. But maybe we should talk about another Ubisoft thing that was kind of disappointing. The fact that we're not seeing any more Skull and Bones. But apparently The Division 2 did not meet sales expectations.
This is surprising to me because I feel like I didn't hear any negative reviews of Division 2.
I thought it was surprising as well because, yeah, like, especially following up Anthem that everybody was so disappointed with, it seemed pretty universal that The Division 2 was, like, a good game. So, yeah, neither of us ended up playing it because we weren't super excited about it, but it is surprising that it just didn't do well. I think this says more about gamers and their willingness to put up with games as service games now, especially after Anthem, and just like I kind of talked about this on a previous podcast when I was talking about Anthem. It's just that like people in general are growing more and more to hate the game as service model. Mm-hmm. And so even when you make one that is good or is like something that is a solid game, the solid foundation for a game, people are more and more just sort of getting turned off by these. And I think it's, not good for a lot of games like Destiny. And I mean, there's also like Fallout 76 that didn't do well as well. So like people have been burned by them a little bit. So I feel like it just says more about the genre than it does necessarily The Division as a game.
Ooh, speaking of Ubisoft, something else I think maybe we'll see at E3, Watch Dogs 3. Which I would definitely play.
I haven't played any of the Watch Dogs games, but this one you told me was supposed to be in London?
Yes. Word on the street is it is in the UK. I think it's also rumored to be a female protagonist, which would be a first for the game. I loved Watch Dogs 1 was fine. And I mean, I played it to completion, but Watch Dogs 2, I loved the story of, because it was basically a spiritual sequel to Hackers in a lot of ways. And just like Ubisoft games in general are good, the whole like finding a base of enemies and then like breaking into that base either with force or stealth. And Watch Dogs 2 gives you a ton of really fun toys to play with. They give you like a drone you can play with, and actually technically 2 drones because you have like a little RC car as well. And just like your ability to shape the world with your hacking, I don't know. I really, really liked Watch Dogs 2. So I'm very much looking forward to whatever Watch Dogs 3 is.
I mean, I'm pretty interested in it as well. If it does end up being in London, like I wanted to play the first 2. I just never got around to them. Like they always came out alongside like other stuff that I was more interested in. Or
I would say you can skip Watch Dogs 1, but if there's a Steam sale or even like a PlayStation sale where Watch Dogs 2 is like $10, you should definitely pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, I probably will. I'm interested in seeing more about Watch Dogs 3 whenever they have that information. So maybe E3. Otherwise,
TBD.
We'll have to wait and see, I guess. This is another little story that I don't know how much you care about, but they're apparently making a feature-length follow-up to that 2015 short film called Kung Fury.
I always meant to watch this. I would always see clips of it on like Reddit and Twitter where he's like talking to a dinosaur and stuff.
Yeah, so in the short film, he has he's a police officer and his partner is like a triceratops.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know. This was one of the first things that I really can think of that like really rode that vaporwave, like retro wave, like aesthetic, just hardcore. Maybe this was, I don't remember if this was before or after Far Cry Blood Dragon. But
I think this was after, I want to say.
Yeah, I want to say
sure.
it was after. So maybe that was the first one, but like this, is basically, it was sort of, I don't know if you want to say making fun of, but it was just sort of a comic throwback to like all these old like 80s movies where you had sort of a time travel thing, and the main character kind of looks like he's like the Karate Kid, and there's just all this stuff like that goes into it, and it's sort of riffing on like all these classic 80s movies. And it was weird and wild and fun and kind of dumb, but kind of fun as well. So I was into it, and
it was only like 40 minutes, right?
Yeah, it was a short film. It wasn't a full feature-length movie. So this one, I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it was definitely not a feature-length movie. But the one that they were talking about, the Hollywood Reporter had a story from Cannes about Kung Fury 2 getting like a major investor, and that it was going to start production. And apparently it's going to star Michael Fassbender and Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
that's a great cast.
That's kind of cool. So yeah, I'm very excited to see like a trailer for this movie at some point. It's also kind of a crazy story. Like maybe we should go into it at some point, but like
I would do a Starside flicks on this. I've never seen it before.
Yeah, maybe we should. But these guys like that have a YouTube channel, and they're like from Sweden, I think, and they just like put through this thing together, and yeah, it ended up being this huge like cult classic that everybody was talking about. So
speaking of things people are talking about, Playdate.
I have not heard about this, so you're going to have to tell me about it.
Hot off the presses, announced today. What if I told you there's going to be a new handheld console?
I'm interested just looking at it.
What if I told you it has a fishingman crank on it? Is that what that's called?
I guess, yeah. It looks like a reel, like from a fishing rod.
The people who published Firewatch are making this. Panic is their name. They published Firewatch, and they're making the Untitled Goose Game. And it's launching with 12 games from people like the creator of Katamari Damacy, as well as like a bunch of other kind of like video game celebs. It's going to be like $149. I think they have a release date for it. But it's just this weird little handheld console. And it's I don't know if we're going to see anything at E3 or what, but I don't know. It's shipping in early 2020, and it's this little handheld console. It's got a D-pad, it's got an A button, a B button, and a fishing rod crank.
It does look like an old like Game Boy Color, but with a
black and white screen. It's got a black and white screen.
Yeah, with a black and white screen, and then the fishing reel on the side of it.
I am very interested in this.
I was gonna say, like, until I saw the black and white screen, I was like, do you think that this will just be like the ideal emulator for like old Game Boy stuff? But I don't know. Now that I see that it's got the black and white screen, I'm not sure.
Well, classic Game Boy was black and white.
Yeah, but I mean, there's Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, like all the stuff past the original Game Boy.
Yeah, so like the guy who made QWOP. Do you remember QWOP?
Remind me of what that one was, because the name sounds familiar.
Was that weird running game where you had to like press buttons on your keyboard in order to run properly?
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Spell Tower, which is also a game people like a whole lot. The creator of Spell Tower has a game. I don't know. This just like came out. It's going to have 12 games. The games are going to be released on a weekly basis and are designed by a bunch of different people. So this is it's a weird, interesting thing.
And looking at the image of it at the very bottom of the page, it looks very small. Like, yeah, it shows it being held by somebody's hand, and it's very tiny.
It's like 2 credit cards, basically. Maybe 2.5 credit cards.
The screen looks like maybe it's a credit card size, and then there's just like some plastic that goes around it for the buttons.
I want to see video of this thing. $149 is a very high price point, but I guess they're including the price of the 12 games within that.
Yeah, so is it Wi-Fi enabled then, I guess?
I am not sure. It has a headphone jack, but I don't know. I'm sure this leaked, or not leaked, but this was like released like 4 hours ago. So I'm sure we'll get a lot more videos on this in the coming weeks. Maybe they'll be at E3. Who knows? I would love to see a video breakdown of someone playing some of these games on E3 at E3.
Yeah, this definitely seems like very niche, but it's kind of, I don't know, it's weird and interesting, so I kind of like it.
Speaking of weird and interesting, actually, no, let's talk about this first. The Oculus Quest came out on Tuesday. We don't really have to talk about this much because I won't be getting one right now, but Oculus Quest is great. It's VR for everyone. There's no PC required, no phone required, 6 degrees of freedom, tracked controllers, inside-out tracking. It's a great step in VR, and everyone should at least go to like a Best Buy. I think Best Buy has demo stations for this, but if you're at all interested in Best Buy, or at all, if you're interested in Best Buy, definitely go check this out. But if you're interested in VR at all, this is like a very low price point to get in on like really, really good VR. So definitely check this out.
Yeah. I'm more interested in the next thing though. So tell me about Minecraft Earth.
Zach, Minecraft is a great game, and I made a declaration, I think it was on our last show, that I was going to start playing more Minecraft. Well, as it turns out, they're getting into the mobile game type thing. I mean, I guess Minecraft Mobile is a thing, Pocket Edition. But Minecraft Earth is like an AR Pokemon Go style game, but it's much more AR focused than Pokemon Go. Where, like in Pokemon Go, you can basically turn off AR, and I think everyone does.
Yeah.
This is like wholly about AR, where you walk to certain locations, you find like tappable materials, you're like collecting bricks, and then you create creations and you can leave them at places. You can go to your park, your public park, and like make a little fort. Like you can throw down like a build plane and leave your creations out in the world for other people to find, just like you would on like a Minecraft server, which I'm very interested in. I have not been I play Pokemon Go, but I'm not like super into it. This is something I think I could get super into.
Yeah, would there be more than one server, or is it just like one server where you live, that's where everything is?
I am not sure. They haven't shown a lot of details about it. The video they released was like very much just concepts, not even like what actual gameplay would look like. I think we'll see. So I signed up for the beta, and you can too if you want. Just like type in Minecraft Earth beta and it'll take you to the place. You have to have a Microsoft account. But the beta begins in like late June, early July, I believe. And I think, yeah, like I was reading, I think Jeff Cork at Game Informer got to see a little bit of it. And he was talking about, you know, they were showing demos where you're walking around, you're finding like, they call them like tappables, where you mine, you'll see like, you'll just be walking on the sidewalk and you'll see realistically some AR like bedrock or something, or like tappable blocks on. This is going to use your camera a lot more than Pokemon Go does, I think. And you'll mine them, and then those aren't consumable. You just have those blocks that you can craft whatever you want with, and then you can even collaborate with your friends and like build something together, and then you sort of leave it in the world. I think they were even talking about like you can interact with stuff. So it's like redstone and like pressure plates are going to be a thing, to where like you can walk on a pressure plate and things will happen within the environment, which I think is very cool.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I read that. This seems very interesting to me, even though I've never played Minecraft before. Oh, and I've previously had very little interest in playing it. I think I would actually like to try this game out.
I would too. I'm very excited. We'll have a lot of coverage of this. I also recently got a new phone. I got a Pixel 3a. So I now have a phone that can definitely handle a bunch of AR stuff, whereas my old phone really chugged even when I did some like intense Snapchat filters.
I have the feeling that this is going to be a real battery hog when it first comes out.
I'm sure.
And they're going to have to do a lot of battery optimization over time. Especially since, like he said, it is going to definitely use your camera and the AR stuff a lot more heavily than games like Pokemon Go does.
Now, the one thing everyone always brings up when they talk about this game is how do you stop people from just
destroying everything or making like gross stuff that you would have to censor?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you not just walk into a public park and just see tons and tons of explicit images like on your screen.
It's true.
And they have said they are working on ways to fix that. They're also working on ways, they were saying that like, they were talking about how Pokemon Go sometimes did stuff procedurally that was not good, where like a Pokestop will be at like a war memorial or like in a cemetery or somewhere where it should not be. So they're working on like making the algorithms better to where it's more interesting places are where you want to go to collect blocks and see creations. But I love this. I cannot wait for the beta to happen, because I think this is my favorite news item of the week, if that's a new segment.
Maybe we should have that, like, pick our story of the week or whatever.
What's your story of the week, Zach?
I mean, mine was going over the E3 stuff that got confirmed. Or no,
that's a good
maybe it was the Microsoft and Sony partnering. But another thing before we move on to our next little stuff, speaking of mobile games, apparently the Mario Kart Tour beta is out.
What?
Just for people that got approved if you like tried to sign up for the beta.
Did you get approved?
And they'll send you like an invite or whatever. I did not. Apparently not very many people did, but
I want to see this.
If you're lucky, like so far, I think the people that were able to get in were also told that they're not supposed to share like video or images. So it's like, it's one of those betas or whatever, but I think some people have actually done it anyway, just because that always happens. But I don't know what the early impressions are. It's like competent, but it's also got plenty of microtransactions, which I guess you expect.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. You knew it was going to have them. Even like the Super Mario Run had microtransactions on, I believe, on top of like having to pay $10 or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think this will also be $10?
I think this one will be free and just have microtransactions, but that Fire Emblem game that they have, and of course Pokemon Go, is the same thing, like free to play, but they have microtransactions. I don't know. I am pretty interested in this just because I like Mario Kart, and like obviously I could just play Mario Kart on my Switch, which is also mobile. But I don't know. I like, sometimes it's nice to just pull out your phone and not have to worry about carrying your Switch around. So
yeah,
so like a sort of smaller experience that you can also play on your phone, which you are definitely 100% always going to have with you.
True.
Is just sort of, it's nice to have, even if it's not the best version of that game.
Zach, we both saw Detective Pikachu.
We did. We're still debating on whether we want to do a full review or if we just want to talk about it in general here.
What are your initial thoughts?
I liked it a lot more than I was expecting to. I
also liked it.
Maybe I had low expectations. Partially because the trailers didn't particularly impress me. I know you liked what you saw, but I was a little bit turned off by just the art style of the Pokemon themselves. Just that, it was like that. What was that anime game from a couple months ago?
What kind of anime?
It was all like, it had One Piece and Dragon Ball Z. And
that Shonen Jump?
Yeah.
It was called Jump Force.
Yeah. That game was similarly a turnoff to me, just the art style of it, where it tried to put these like really realistic textures and lighting on like cartoon characters, and it just made them look kind of gross a little bit. So I was turned off by the art style of the Pokemon themselves. And I was also turned off by expecting cute Pikachu voice, and then you hear the voice of Deadpool, and I was like, I don't know about this. But it makes so much sense when you actually see it, and it like, it doesn't actually, it's not what I thought it was going to be. Like, it doesn't turn, like, it's not, you don't think of Deadpool anyway. At least I didn't, for some reason. I don't know why I thought I was going to when I saw the trailer, but I was like, I'm just always going to think, oh, that's Deadpool. Why is like Pikachu talking with Deadpool's voice? It makes sense in context, and it totally works. I don't know what you thought.
I also liked it. Yeah, I liked the character designs from the get-go. I liked how fuzzy Pikachu was.
The fuzzy ones are fine, but there are some that are like skin texture and is just like, ugh.
Yeah, it was like weird to see a big like Machamp or whatever.
Yeah, especially
just
like
like
the more humanoid they are, the more grotesque.
Yeah, those Greninjas were pretty crazy as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, the plot, I think, was pretty generic, but I liked it. I guess we should not get into spoilers, but I have a lot of questions about like the villain's plan at the end and why stuff happened the way that it did. But overall, they did not really leave a ton of room for a sequel, but I guess they could do like this was technically called Pokémon Detective Pikachu, so they could definitely do another like Pokemon and then another story within the universe.
Yes, it does definitely open things up for just sort of a Pokemon cinematic universe. Mm-hmm. And I like that idea. I guess I didn't know anything about the Detective Pikachu game, so I didn't know what the story was there. But I thought it was interesting how they were basically able to almost sort of go into the lore a little bit of like how Mewtwo started, even without necessarily going directly into it. So I thought that was kind of cool. And like there was some stuff that I feel like adults who are just taking their kids and they don't know anything about Pokemon might be a little bit confused by. Like,
yeah, they definitely start you out in the deep end.
Yeah, like it's basically you almost need to be in the know a little bit because especially with like Ditto, who plays a fairly important role later on, they kind of set it up. But I feel like somebody who doesn't know Pokemon might be confused, like, wait, how did that happen? What's going on now? But yeah, otherwise, I thought they did a pretty good job of like setting stuff up and sort of reminding you of it and then paying it off later on down the line. So like even the twists and turns, I think a lot of people were complaining that it was a little bit too easy to follow or obvious. And maybe part of that is just because it's made for a younger audience, but I don't know. I thought they did a good job of sort of establishing stuff and then paying it off later.
I agree. Maybe we'll do a longer discussion of it, but Zach, I have news for you. I purchased a free like month of HBO and watched all of Barry in the last 2 days.
You purchased a free thing?
Yeah, basically, I'm going to cancel before they charge my card.
Gotcha. Yeah, so you're all caught up on Barry, huh? I have not seen the last episode. The finale was Sunday alongside another finale that we'll talk about here in a second, and I have not watched it yet.
So good, Zach. This season was so good.
It was very good. I like the show quite a bit, and I've definitely been recommending to people that if you watch anything on HBO, you should also be watching Barry just because it's that good.
Ooh, Zach, speaking of anything on HBO, what about that Westworld 3 trailer?
Oh, yeah. We should have thrown that in the show notes as well.
What about that? Didn't that look amazing?
It looked like a completely different show.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks like, it looks so good.
Well, so here's the thing. Is it basically the footage that was seen there, like the first episode, and then it
100%.
goes right back into like normal Westworld mode? Or is it more like this is going to feel completely different for most of the season and then they'll tie it in later? Almost
100% of it will take place in the real world outside of the park. I think that Aaron Paul is integral. I don't think he's just going to be in the first episode. I think he is going to be our new window into, I mean, how much time has passed, you know?
Right.
I think Bernard will like show up or whatever, but yeah, I think that whole first episode, here's what I think. That whole first episode is just going to be setting the scene for the world. The last 5 seconds of that trailer is the last 5 seconds of that episode, and then it just cuts.
Yeah, I can see that. And then
the pilot just ends with her appearing, and then the season is like, how did she get here? What happens next?
Will that feel weird though? Like to make most of the rest of the season sort of her story, but we spend like an entire episode with this one guy? Like, I guess maybe they need to establish him so that
I think because we need to be emotionally invested in him, right? Because I think he's going to become integral. Yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking about how they've done the past 2 seasons and they didn't spend one episode on like one person.
What if this, Zach? We don't know. We're unstuck from time, much like Bernard was last season. We don't know anything. So they could, again, pull that 2 timelines stuff with us because we don't know, you know? We don't know what the real world is like. We don't know if Aaron Paul is two different people.
Yeah, but I mean, would they pull that again?
I mean, who's expecting it except me, the smartest man in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible. It could be interesting to do a lot of theorizing about Westworld. Maybe we should do a Westworld recap episode as well after every episode.
I can't wait. More before that, we're gonna do Expanse episodes whenever that happens. Yeah. I assume that's happening in the fall. You would think, right?
I'm not sure exactly when they're gonna start.
It's gotta be this year.
Airing. But yeah, I'm very excited about The Expanse. If you're like me, and spoilers for what I'm about to talk about and you were super disappointed with Game of Thrones, and you're like, oh, the show that I previously called the best show on TV and had been following for a long time is now over, well, you can move on to The Expanse. Or it's basically Game of Thrones in space, but better.
Also, another great show is What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes, which... have you been keeping up with it?
Yes, I guess I was waiting to talk to you about it on the podcast, but I finished the season finale, and what a crazy get for all those actors.
Was that the season finale?
Was it? Was there another episode this week?
That's a good
With
question.
all the stops they pulled, I assumed, and it kind of wrapped up that one story, I assumed it was the final episode of the season, but maybe it wasn't. That would be great.
Well, I thought there was one after that.
Was there? Man, you're blowing my mind right now. I'm going to go download it. But, even if that wasn't the season finale, what a crazy thing. That came out of nowhere. All of those, especially Wesley Snipes, I thought that was the best one.
Yeah, and I liked that they brought back the original 3 from the movie, and I liked that they just had all these people who had played vampires previously, and they just used their real name as the thing. I don't know. It was cool. I liked seeing all those people together. I wish there was more from the original 3, but
yeah,
wishful thinking.
What a great first season, though. Oh, Zach, you are right. There's like 3 episodes left.
Yeah, so that one was episode 7.
Yeah.
The one that you were talking about. Yeah, they're doing 10 episodes. I thought
two
for
to
sure.
Watch. One came out tonight.
Yeah, I thought for sure. I was like, I know I've seen one other episode after that.
Man, I am super excited. I just assumed that was the finale and didn't look for more episodes. This is great.
I mean, I can see why you would think that. It did have the feeling of a finale just because they threw so much at it. But it was also cool. Dave Bautista was in it. And if you like Westworld, what's her name? Who plays Dolores, and I cannot think of her name, is also in it.
I forgot she played Dolores.
What is her name?
Her name is we all know her name.
We all know it, of course. Dolores. Everyone knows what her name is. And she even used her actual name on the show, so it's real bad that we can't think of it.
Evan Rachel Wood.
Yes, Evan, of course. That's what I was going to say.
Classic. And the classic girl's name, Evan.
Yes. And what's his name? The guy who played, oh gosh. I'm so bad with names, apparently.
Who? Danny Trejo?
Well, Danny Trejo was in it as well. Ruben something.
Oh, Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman. Which was also a name that I was trying to think of that I could not.
What was he a vampire in?
That's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, did I miss something? But of course, Tilda Swinton was a vampire in Only Lovers Left Alive.
A great little movie.
Was Pee Wee Herman a vampire in some movie?
Canonically? I don't know. I mean, maybe. Wait, now I'm thinking about it. He was in the original Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie that didn't have anyone from the TV show in it.
I just got to it the second you said it. I was like, oh, I bet it was Buffy the Vampire Slayer from 1992.
Problem solved.
Are there photos of him as the vampire? Oh, there are.
I feel like I remember him having a crazy hair in it.
He looks a little like Tim Burton. Like if his hair was not sticking up, it was just like down.
Zach, talk to me about why you hate Game of Thrones now and you regret spending the last 6 years watching.
Well, it's finally over, and it has ended very, very poorly.
I've never seen an episode.
Basically, all the character arcs feel like it felt like sort of character assassination where they were just like ruining all the storylines for all your favorite characters and ending them in very unsatisfying ways, and a lot of very unsatisfying wrap-ups to storylines that you've been invested in for many years. And part of that is not even just because I think the writers either went against what George had in mind or didn't know what he had in mind, so they just made it up. In some cases, I think they did do what George was planning on doing. But the problem is, HBO and George R.R. Martin wanted 10 seasons of 10 episodes each, and they offered that to the showrunners, the double Ds, Dave and Dan, and they were convinced from like the very beginning that they could tell the entire story in 7 seasons. And they tried to very stubbornly stick to that, to the point where they eventually compromised and did like 8 seasons, with season 7 and 8 being sort of shortened. Like there was, I think, 7 episodes in season 7 and 6 in season 8. So they did more than they were planning on doing, but not very many more, like maybe 2 or 3 more episodes than they had originally planned to do. And it was very clear by the end, not only that they were, instead of adapting George's writing, they were having to create for themselves, and they're good adapters, but they're not good creators. And it just fell apart because everything felt super rushed at the end, where previously they would spend like an entire season, or at least like half a season, sort of developing a character or working through a particular storyline to get a character from point A to point B. Suddenly now they were doing that within the space of like half an episode or just like 20 minutes, you know? So everything felt super rushed. And so a lot of the character turns towards the very end didn't feel very earned to a lot of people. And it ultimately doesn't make sense how they chose to end it. I won't say any spoilers just in case somebody has not seen it yet that wants to, but there's some nonsensical decision making that went into it, I think. And there's like, you can basically break down a lot of the final like 3 or 4 episodes and just point at all these things and be like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. Like just logically going through your head with like the characters you've known up to this point. Like they either wouldn't do this or they've specifically said things that would conflict with what they chose to do later. You know, it's a lot of that kind of thing. So it feels like a whiplash a little bit. And so because of that, there's this like whole petition on change.org that is like people wanting them to redo season 8 of Game of Thrones, but with like different writers. And it has nearly 1.5 million signees on it. And it's not even that they believe that this is a thing that would happen. It's more like sending a message to like say, hey, we're not pleased with this and we need to vent. So join us.
Here's a question, because someday, hopefully, maybe not, but someday the final book of this series will come out, and it will probably be different from the TV version. Do you think HBO will be like, here's the book version of what happened, and like, I feel like shoot new episodes? I
doubt it, just because it would be impossible to get all the actors back together to...
What if they recast it?
Well, then it would be really weird. I don't know. I feel like...
Think about it, though.
If
like,
they were going to do that,
if
they were going to do that, I feel like they would ultimately have to start over and just do a complete new adaptation of it. And that, I feel like, might happen eventually one day, like 10 years down the line, if he's finished all the books and somebody wants to take a chance on trying to redo it and put it up against the old show, even though, like, at least 6.5 of the seasons in Game of Thrones are pretty great, especially the first half of those are like just excellent television, and then it gets really bad and falls apart at the very end.
We didn't have to wait that long for another Watchmen thing to happen.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they're always redoing things. They're always doing another, like a remake of that, or they're doing, you know, a sequel to this or that. So it's possible that at some point George's books, once they get completed, will do like another remake of the show or take another shot at the show, but they're not going to just do the final season, bring back the old cast and try to make them look like they did back then and try to wrap it up the way it was in the books. I don't think that'll happen.
We'll see.
But George R.R. Martin did say there are going to be differences in his books. Like some of the stuff will be the same, but obviously in his books there are like more characters that were never on the show. So it has to end differently than it did in the show. But I do suspect that a lot of the like main plot points will still hit the same beats that they did in the show, just that George will take more time getting there, so it will feel more earned than it did in the show. And he also said that he's got 2 more to write, and he said the next one should be done by next summer, and that if it's not done by then, that he gave the fans permission to like imprison him in some like home in some place until he finished it. So, I mean, there's that to look forward to, I guess, if you don't want to give up on the series. But I don't know, like this, it's kind of like Lost. You know how Lost ended so poorly and people hated it, and then like a lot of people, because they disliked the way it ended, they never wanted to watch the show again. And you had other people who hadn't seen it, and because it ended so badly and they heard about it, they didn't even want to watch it in the first place. I feel like that's what's going to happen to Game of Thrones, where...
Oh, yeah. I agree with that, because I also have no interest in watching it.
Yeah, like, nobody's going to want to watch Game of Thrones over again if they hated the ending as much as I did. And, like, people who had never seen it are not going to want to bother if they know the ending is like, it's this divisive. And then you have the showrunners who are going on to do a Star Wars trilogy next. So I feel like Star Wars is not going to be good for a while, because you and I already don't love the current series. And now these guys who have just exposed themselves as not being able to create for themselves are going to go do a trilogy. So
yeah, I guess we'll see. I am very interested to see what even that trilogy is, since it's going to have nothing to do with any kind of Skywalker type thing.
Yeah, and it's Old Republic stuff.
Oh.
Or at least that's what the rumors are, is that it's going to be set in the Old Republic.
Zach, how's that Shakedown Hawaii?
I would like to do a video for this at some point. This came out probably a couple weeks ago now. It's time has gotten away from me, but I had been meaning to play a lot more of this. This was a game that I was looking forward to ever since the Switch launched, because it was in like a trailer for it was mixed in with all the other trailers for like launch titles of the Switch. And then it just got pushed back and back and back. And then it just came out a couple weeks ago. So it's basically, what is that?
Or something Ramble? Retro City Rampage.
Yeah. So basically it's a sequel to that, like many years down the line. The like main character of that is old now. And it is sort of like GTA 5 a bit, where you're sort of jumping back and forth between a father and son character, or just like multiple characters. And it feels a lot like an old like GTA 1 and 2, where it's sort of more the top down perspective. And you're sort of hopping in cars and driving around, and you're shooting things up, and cops will come after you. I had a lot of fun with it. I really enjoyed it. I like the art style. It's like the pixel art, and it's got a very synthwave soundtrack, and it's very heavily sort of 80s, 90s inspired. So I don't know. I'm into it a lot. I haven't played enough to get a sense of what the overall story is, but it does seem like you're trying to get back your business basically, and you're trying to expand, and like everything is sort of modernized, and now you have to like, you'll go to these stores and try to sort of hustle them so that they have to pay you for protection money. And then you'll like use your money to buy like a coffee shop, and you'll get like hourly income from that or something. And you can steal cars and take them to like an auto shop that you own, and you'll get money for selling those. So there's like, you're basically trying to take over Hawaii, basically, where you
that sounds
own
fun.
a piece of everything.
Yeah, the gameplay looks really fun. I want to see. I've seen a little bit of gameplay, but I would love to do a video on it.
Yeah, we should do that soon or in the near future.
Well, I have been playing Uncharted 4. I linked to a commercial from back in the day that I'm sure you remember. I put it in the show notes, but it is very similar to that because I have been playing it with my girlfriend, and she loves to watch it because it's basically like watching a movie.
Yeah.
It's very true to the commercial. And it's great. I know you've played 4, and I just took forever. I picked it up from Target for like $15 because it's been out forever. And I'm loving it. It's great. Like, that's a great style of game. I know it's probably very intense to make. That's why we don't get a lot of them. But Naughty Dog is top of the game when it comes to these like narrative cinematic experiences. And when I beat it, maybe I'll talk a little bit about it. But for now, it's I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
If you haven't picked it up, definitely check it out. It's like $15 now.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't it one of those new, like, PlayStation classics or whatever that are like $20 or something like that? But
a great purchase.
It is. It's very good. I liked it a lot. I actually picked up the trilogy. Like, they have that combo pack where you can get all three of them.
Yeah, I think we picked that up at the same time.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and
And then we all beat that, and then you bought the 4th one, and we didn't.
Yeah, and I don't know. I liked them a lot because I never had a PlayStation 3 or 2 or any of them, so I missed out on those previous ones, so it was kind of nice to go back through. I don't think you would need to have those in order to play Uncharted 4. It just helps to sort of have that context for characters.
Yeah.
And there is like a part where he's in like some room and he's sort of glancing at all these memories from like adventures he's had previously, and that's where having that context from the previous games will really help you. But otherwise, I think you could totally still get through it probably just fine.
I agree. And that about wraps it up for us. We went a little bit over.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't done a podcast in a couple of weeks, so I felt like maybe we had a lot to talk about. So
we did, yeah. There was a lot of news to cover.
I mean, there's all the E3 stuff, all the E3 games we wanted to
get ready for that next week also.
Very excited about that. Anyway, go ahead and leave us a like and give us a comment on our YouTube channel if you listen to it there. Otherwise, you can also find this podcast on iTunes and Pocket Cast and leave us a rating on iTunes if that's where you listen to it. And follow us on Starside Cafe at gmail.com. You can send us an email there and follow us on Twitter at Starside Cafe. And we have an Instagram as well that I sometimes put stuff up. Just search for Starside Cafe on there. You'll find us. And Aaron, give us your parting wisdom.
Zach, I don't know if you know this, but if you have an account at Best Buy, whenever it's your birthday, that entire month you get 10% off of purchases, or maybe just one purchase. But I bought this phone, and because it's the month of my birthday, I got 10% off on it, which was great.
Oh, really? And what phone was it?
Pixel 3a.
Oh, I hear that just came out and that it's a good deal.
It's a great deal. I also had like $150 in Best Buy gift cards. So I once I put that in and also the extra 10%, I ended up paying like $165 for this great new phone.
It's originally like $400, right?
Yeah.
Which is still like half the price of your
Well, here's something else.
Your...
I say it's $165 because Best Buy, this is not valid anymore, but because it stopped on the 18th. But when you bought it before the 18th, you got a $100 Best Buy gift card also.
Ooh, that's a good deal.
It's just like stacks on stacks on stacks of deals.
Neither Best Buy nor the Google Pixel 3a is a sponsor, although if they would like to, they could hit us up.
I hope Google Stadia sponsors us.
That would be cool. They won't need us to sponsor them, but but that would be cool.
I guess we'll see you next time. E3 is almost upon us.
It is coming up very soon. Let us know what you think of that and what you're most looking forward to, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.